Hello again. Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Alphacraft. Today we are going to start a new build project, and we're going to be doing a little bit of miscellaneous type projects that I just want to get done before we move on to the next big section of the town. We have kind of a stream project that we're working on, which is this. So hopefully you guys aren't jealous that we are going to be working on some big builds here soon. So we'll have video builds for a different project, and we'll have the stream builds for this project. So, no reason to fret. We have lots to build and lots of time and lots of things to do. So today, what we're going to be working on is the forge, and I've actually been I can't remember if I mentioned I've been gathering up lots of diamond ore, and I'll probably end up gathering up some more here soon. So what we're going to do, and we actually talked about this slightly on stream, the idea is, we want the forge back here. I've actually been cutting down some trees, getting ready for a possible project that we might be starting soon. But the idea is I'm actually going to have the forge setting up on kind of on this hill, kind of right in here, because back in here, look at this area. There's caves, and there's this nice little kind of cubby space, and the plan is back in here is where I'm getting a little bit of lag right now, but back in here is where we are going to have kind of where, mine carts would come up and ore is kind of taken out, and then it's taken down here to the forge, and then it's handled, right? The idea for the forge, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently than what I was originally doing the forge as, which of course eventually it became the apothecary. It's going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be a bit of a smaller build. But it's actually going to be based off of a picture that Bunny sent me. Her and I, during the stream, we were talking about Skyrim, and then she sent me a picture about, and saying, like, this is an example of, why Skyrim's so beautiful, and is great for inspiration, and we're going to kind of base it just very, very loosely off of the image from that. And if you're curious to see the image, here it is. And so this is a picture from Skyrim, and I'm not exactly sure the location. If I had to guess, it's probably somewhere near Whiterun, I think. I almost think I can see Dragon's Reach off in the distance. But the main inspiration that I'm going to be pulling from this is that attachment there that has the forge, and then just little odd and end bits. But we're going to be kind of making it our own. And so my goal with this build, I know most people think of a forge and they think of something really, really dark and dingy and ugh, but since we're going with elven style, and I think generally, and right here I'm just kind of laying out just an idea with that little frame is where I'm starting from. But I'm trying to take like a breakaway from that normal forge that just feels dirty and run down, and go with something a little bit brighter, a little bit more welcoming. And now that we have prismarine, I want to go with kind of a change of style, because we've used so much spruce, and so much dark oak, and so many dark colors. And I know at first it's probably going to feel really out of place to have all these dark buildings in one really bright building. But I think as the town comes together, it'll make more sense, and it'll kind of come together. So the colors that we're using, you can see I'm using birch, a lot of birch, and then we'll be using a lot of oak. Like I said, kind of a breakaway. And of course, opposite the building, is the Tavern, which right now it's really, really dark. It's just a lot of dark oak and spruce and nether brick. But once we put the walls in, we're going to have white walls on it. Kind of that Tavern look. So I think it's going to contrast nicely between this building and that building, and not be such a, here's a white building, here's a dark building, So just kind of a breakaway, because remember that the theme of this city is kind of forest fantasy, and we're going to have not just one race and one style of buildings, but multiple styles. I want hobbit holes, I want wood elf type houses, I want high elven type houses, I want just all different kinds of styles. That way we can have some fun and not just build one style throughout the entire series, but have multiple styles that we can pull from, and multiple different color palettes and whatnot. So this build, of course, will be kind of our first kind of bright and vibrant build, and I'm actually really happy with the color palette and the way it all came together. But you can see I've built that attachment out there, which is kind of like in the picture, there was that attachment with the forge bit, and then we're going to build a house attached to it. Now, it's not a super large house, But I think it's a fitting size, and then it actually feels when you look at the house as a whole with the attachment, it actually feels really, really big. But you have to remember that the majority of that back end is all forge, and you'll see as it all comes together. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, like I said, it's a whole lot different. So if you're thinking of, if you're in the mindset that a forge has to be dark and dirty and soot everywhere, then this build's probably not going to be your cup of tea. But the way I see it, I think like human style forges, yeah, they were probably dark and dirty, but since we're kind of building with an elven style, elves are kind of known for like everything kind of a little bit cleaner. I mean, we're still going to do some clutter, and so it feels like the forge is alive and that things are being worked on and whatnot. But I kind of want that more clean approach for the building itself, and especially the house part. I don't think this blacksmith comes in and kicks off his boots and puts his feet on the table and just makes a big mess. I kind of want it to feel like it's actually part of this town that has kind of that approach to I don't know, kind of that approach to just nature and just, I don't know, forest fantasy, right? that's my answer for it. So but like, I haven't really had a chance to build with lighter colors this entire season so far, and we're up to, I don't know, probably closing in on 8 buildings or something, if you don't count the ones that are just kind of frames back there. And so far everything's just been so dark, and I wanted something that just felt a whole lot lighter. So you can see I'm using a lot of oak, birch, prismarine. That's our primary color palette for this. But you will see I do bring in a couple other colors, and I actually bring in some darker colors in spots just to give it some contrast from just the bright white of everything. Of course, the prismarine does, I think, contrast very, very good, and I love the way prismarine on oak looks and prismarine on birch looks. I know a lot of I think most people use it for like a darker, like spruce wood, dark oak wood, that kind of thing, but I do think I don't know, I think it's just beautiful with oak as well if you're going for like a lighter color build. And I think oftentimes whenever people build medieval style and fantasy style builds, they tend to go with a lot of darker colors, and I think kind of breaking away from that and really just kind of going with more of a high elven look is kind of what I wanted to do with this build, because our town is, like I said, more of like a melting pot, so to speak, of different races that have come here. And of course, being like a big center of trade and commerce and everything, between these forest folk, we would have various different races coming in. So, but yeah, that's just the general idea of this build as we work on it. And you can see right here, I've done something a little bit different with the roof. I decided to, since we're going with more of a high elven style, I decided to do the bits on the roof. I don't know what they're called, the bits that stick up. And you can actually see it in the picture. Of course, in the picture, that is more of like a Norse style build. So we are breaking away. Like I said, it's just a very, very rough inspiration. I'm not trying to copy it at all, because that was a lot smaller of a house, and then that big attachment that kind of comes off the roof. And we're going with, I think, a balanced size between the house and then the attachment. Because I think the Forge Master would probably be, decently wealthy. It's not going to be like the little, the peon houses down by the water, and it's not going to be like the A-frame house where the miner lives. I mean, the miner's house is pretty big. He probably makes quite a bit, but I think the Forge Master would probably make quite a decent sum. Elven armor is known to be a bit more expensive in fine armor. I guess second only to probably dwarven armor, but humans are kind of on the back seat on that one, right? In a lot of lore. But now I'm going to start building out the decking, and I do try something here in a second, which I end up scrapping because I didn't like it, because I was wanting to bring a little bit darker of a color to the base. And you can see, and I mentioned during the stream, we are landscaping a bit in this area, and that's just so that all the builds kind of come together. I mean, we're not doing a whole lot of landscaping throughout the series, but there is a little bit of landscaping coming together here, because there's certain things that we want. Like, we want that bit of a river, or that bit of water, to kind of form like a little lake, and we're actually going to use a little bit of that within this build a little bit later. So right here, I ran Prismarine, and at first I was like, do I like this? But then, a little bit later, I decided I didn't really like it. So this build actually took a little bit because I've been building so many darker buildings. So getting everything just right and so that it felt right in my, like how it should feel in my head, you know. It did take a little bit, but you can see I come back through with some spruce. And I try a couple things here. I try like spruce wood, and I'm like, no, maybe not. And then I end up breaking it and playing around with spruce trap doors. And I think I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So we have that just a splash of darkness, and then we were using the stripped oak wood, and so I decided to put in some oak that still had the wood grain on it, just to kind of break it up a little bit. And then I end up coming through. Actually, it's about to happen. I come through, there we go, with some bushes. Add some greenery down there. I do add a little bit of decoration as this build comes together, because I feel like without it, this build, because the overabundance of birch wood and oak wood, it would probably feel bland. But I think as things come together, it makes a lot more sense, and there's a lot more contrast to be had just using primarily bright colors than I think you might think of originally or initially, because you can do a lot with it, I think. So, and we'll have some other buildings that are kind of in this style. It's not just going to be this one building in the middle of all these dark buildings. So, but here I'm adding kind of a second floor, and I kind of want a sort of like a little balcony over the forge area. That's kind of serves as the house. I know it's not as closed in as like modern day American houses, but it's elven houses, you know. And I like to think of their housing as being a bit more open, because they are so in tune with nature. I guess more so the wood elves, but high elves, even in like the Tolkien lore and stuff, their houses are kind of open as well, you know. And we will be working on some of the really open feeling buildings before too terribly long, I would say. But so right here I'm doing a little bit of a roof overhang. It's going to kind of stick out over this and just kind of I don't know, give the front a lot more character. And then I'm starting to add some planter boxes. I tried spruce, didn't really like it, didn't look right from a distance. So then I come through with birch, and I think it was just the contrast that was needed to really make that front end pop there. And then right here I'm starting to plan out where I want the walls and stuff to go, and I start with planter boxes, but then I end up scrapping it, and I actually pull the walls back by one right here, and I decided to make this. I had a really cool idea for making, because we've got those the tops of the wall sections, I don't know, those bits under the roof. So I came through with spruce as the main wall, and we do have or birch, not spruce, birch as the walls. We also have birch as the floors, but we're going to use a lot of carpet and stuff to kind of give that some contrast. And then I come through and I start messing with some stone. I'm thinking diorite or andesite or the polished variants. And I was just kind of looking at these and getting an idea, because most of my color palettes I actually plan in world generally. And I decided on diorite. I did pop into a test world at one point just to kind of test some prism rain and some different colors and try things. Because at first, and I didn't end up using any of the stuff that I tested. Oh, and you could see I ran some spruce just to kind of give it that stripe of darker color and that stripe of contrast. But I did test some terracotta colors, because originally I was thinking about going with like not glazed terracotta, but you know, just colored terracotta and different wool types. But then I didn't end up going with it because it just didn't feel right. It just felt kind of you know. Whereas most of this building is wood, so we don't really want terracotta walls and stuff, at least on this building. So here I'm breaking this up. I'm adding a little bit of decking, kind of where this bit overhangs. This is going to be kind of for personal use for the Forge Master, but then the back end, as you'll see, is going to be kind of used for storage for things like coal and hay bales. And I know hay bales, if you're just thinking of like a forge just in Minecraft style, hay bales don't make a lot of sense, but hay bales would be used in the forge to you know, initially kindle the fire and get it hot. So I decided to include hay within this build, just as a decoration, like a clutter bit. So and then right here I gave it kind of a balcony, because we're actually gonna have a path that kind of goes around past that, and so kind of just overlook into the forge. And you can see right here I decided those opening spots, this was something that I had originally planned on, and I was just now getting to it. In that picture there was that foliage that kind of overhangs, and instead of it just being kind of wild like in the picture, I decided to make it a little bit more intended. So ran that foliage across, and I'll show you in a little bit. It makes the lighting effect with shaders on. It's just beautiful the way that that light kind of trickles in through those leaves, and it really, really makes the inside of the house and also the forge during the certain times of the day. It really makes it pop. I don't know what's with those like lines. I tried to edit those out, but they just put them at the end. I don't know what's like. It's like, And then I decided on cyan glass for the windows. And then right here, I decided to, since I've got these really high ceilings, I don't want to make it feel really closed in. Oh, man. Why did it do that? The camera kind of wobbles, and I'm not sure how to change that. So, I apologize for this. Okay, anyways. The camera, I have it set to a specific spot, but every time, and it'll do it whenever I'm testing it, but then whenever I render it, it's like, hey, wobble time. And it just wobbles its way around. I'll have to see if there's something I can do. Like I said, I'm still learning replay mod. But anyways, I ran a little floor section. I'll show you better. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But anyways, and then I added some decking there on the front, and yeah. And see, it did the wobble again. It wasn't supposed to wobble like that. Why do you wobble? Like I haven't come to about this position, and then it's like, oh, I'm just gonna fall backwards, and it doesn't show me that until after I render it, and the rendering process takes a bit. So, but right here, I'm starting to build out the actual forge. Boom! There's a creeper. The actual, the forge bit. Of course, it won't serve any purpose for us, but for looks. It's going to add a lot to this area, and I decided to make it a little bit more interesting because I don't think that it would just be, a kiln or whatever, or not a kiln, but just a big furnace. Kilns for making bricks, but smelting clay and stuff. But so I added these little bits off here that kind of serve as like tables for the smith to work from, and then back in here, I'm going to make something a little bit more usable for us, which is kind of a small little furnace wall, and we'll spruce it up and make it a little bit more interesting than just furnaces in a wall. But and then I added kind of a basin there. Of course, he's got the barrel, but then he's got this larger basin if he's doing like long swords or something like that he can cool and after he's been working them. So, and then this part, I wasn't originally planning on decorating this out, but after I did the forge, I decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and add some clutter around here. So I decided he would have, anvils, he would have cauldrons, he would have, iron blocks and gold blocks, just to kind of represent that, there's metals that he's been working. And then I added some stone up around that and some nether bricks. And then right here, I added just a little bit of kind of an overhang above the furnaces and brought those up so they have supports. I did that with spruce trapdoors. I do love the way spruce trapdoors look as an overhang. And then you can see I added a little table right there. And it did those little lines again. I don't know what's wrong with replay mod right now. It's like being buggy. And see the wobble. The wobble. I don't want it to wobble. It's actually really hard to mess with replay mod in these tighter sections, so I do apologize. We'll take a better look at it. So here in a minute. But I'm adding just some clutter to make this forge feel lively. I haven't done lighting yet, so there's still torches on the ground. There's the hay bales and the coal. And then I realized I totally forgot to do the hang-off bits for this, like the general architecture. So I'm adding these. These are actually super, super simple ones. But I think they look good. And normally I wouldn't do the same thing on the top as the side bits that come out, but they're kind of low profile, so they work on the sides. And then I was just kind of messing with the fountain a little bit. Okay, we've got the build to a good starting point, and I just want to come around this corner so you can get an idea. Boom, there it is. We still have a lot of decorating to do. I did some stuff on the back section, but we still have to do all the interior, and a lot of this exterior still needs some contrast. We're going to be working on that. We have to add lights hanging off of these. I'm just not sure yet how far I want them to drop. I'm thinking where they're at, maybe bring these down a little bit more. We'll see. But actually my idea is, with this building and this building being close, that's another reason I kind of wanted it a little bit taller of a building, is because I want to run kind of like streamers type things coming between the buildings. So when you're walking down through here, you can look up and there's like activity walking through here, right? I mean, it would be kind of at an angle coming down, because this one has a bit taller of a roof, and it's actually going to get a little bit taller during probably the next stream, because we still have to add cupolas to the top of especially of the tavern part. And I'm thinking about doing a double layered roof. So you see in a lot of elven architecture, we have a roof bit that comes up, and it would be great to have this as the cupola, and then a bit that kind of like a second skin almost of the roof. I don't really know how to explain it, but so we might do something like that. This roof still got a bit of work to do, but I'm thinking streamers ran across and then lights hanging down off of those would be really, really cool, and it would just make this street feel really, really vibrant. And we will take a look at the tavern if you guys are interested in it, and you haven't managed to catch the stream. Hey, there's Villager. He's like, hey, this is my forge. But anyways, this is the work so far, and I quite like it. It's, like I said, it's a breakaway from the normal dark buildings, and I think it's an extreme breakaway from what most people think of a forge, because it's not dark, it's not dirty, at least outside of being, in the forge itself. Hey, there's that bad omen, and of course it's gonna start raining, and okay, well, we'll take a look at the inside, and then I'll get the rain gone. But this is what I was trying to show you in the time lapse, and it decided to weeble wobble. But I've added this, and we're actually just gonna have a ladder that accesses it. It's probably gonna be more of like a storage area for like knickknacks type stuff. I mean, technically I could bring this out and have it connect. That might be something. I don't know, I'll give it some thought, but I mean, I could do something to that effect and have it just, well, I'd have to cut that back. I don't think I'll do it, but I could always make the landing lower. I don't know. We'll see. I'll play around with the idea. But anyways, just a little area for, kind of for storage. We'll put some fencing around this, probably trapdoor fencing, and get this little area all sorted out. And then if we step up, this is kind of where the, I'm thinking this is actually going to be the bedroom, kind of overlooking the forge, and I do quite like, and it's such a nice area whenever it's not dark outside. Let me go ahead and sleep real quick. I've got chat turned off right now because of the spam stuff. So, but anyways, we have to wait for the sun. Well, you can see it right there. The sun kind of goes through these leaves, and it makes this, like, I don't know, just beautiful, beautiful effect coming through. Let's see. And it actually does it kind of rotates throughout the day. You can actually see it's dropping down now, and then it's going to come around and be on this side at the back end of the day, because it's actually set up, and I didn't even think about this whenever I was first setting it up, but it's actually set up perfectly so the sun kind of rotates around it and moves that shadow effect throughout the day, and it actually does it down in the forge a little bit as well, and I do quite like that. So, but this area just kind of overlooks the forge, and it's just kind of it's such a welcoming, open type feeling house. And of course, going with lighter colors, everything feels a lot bigger, which is kind of nice. So, but that also means we need a lot of contrast in here, because I have birch floors, birch walls, but birch walls just felt right from the outside. But we're going to do a lot of carpet on the inside, so I think it's going to work out. If it doesn't, I can always change the floor if need be. And then out here, we've kind of got this little area is a little bit more cluttered, a little bit more messy, but it's so that it feels like active. So, he's making things, he's setting them here that need to be picked up or sent off. He's making armor and weapons and tools and stuff for the different, like the soldiers and the workers and everything, and rails and different things. So, and then anvils and cauldrons and just stuff for all around. And then got some little wood piles here, because of course for his fires he needs wood, he needs coal, he needs hay to get his fire started. So he's got that stuff accessible. And then once we get to the lumber mill, it'll make more sense where he's getting all of his wood from, hopefully. They spawn there all the time. I don't know what it is. And of course this is for like this would be for like buckets or something that's smaller whenever it's hot, and then this would be for more like long swords and stuff. And he can lay them down in there. I really wanted to actually do stairs and kind of do a more narrow shape and do lava inside them, but you cannot waterlog stairs with lava, I found. which was kind of a bummer. And lava just didn't really make any sense anywhere else, so I didn't put any lava in here. But and then I added some little racks so that if he's cooking, if he's heating things, he has somewhere to set them and not just into the fire. Which I don't know. I'm not sure if they would just stick it in the fire. I don't know. But anyways, and then he's got his little hammer over here. And I do quite like the way this shaped up. I thought about adding some like stone or iron bars or something to kind of contrast this, but it just didn't feel right. It felt better as just nether brick. And then if you want to see the way the back is shaped up, it's got some little sticky out bits. But I decided I wanted the forge itself to be not attached, not the chimney coming up out of there, because we have leaves up there, so it made more sense for it to be kind of pushed back a little bit. And then up here, this is kind of for our use. We've kind of got a little wall of furnaces and then some blast furnaces. Of course, blast furnaces smelt ore and stuff at double the speed, still using the same amount of coal, but they don't give XP. That's the main reason I haven't been using them up until this point, but guess what? I don't actually need XP anymore. Of course, I also don't really need ore much anymore either. But so that's the forge thus far. And then, like I said, back in here we'll have kind of a little mining area, and they got me some pretty good arrows. And I've also went out and mined up a bunch of diamond ore, because that was probably one of the ones that we didn't really have a lot of. At first I was thinking about making the Fairbury Mines a diamond mine, and it may still yet be. Of course, they'll mine other things like iron and gold and coal and lapis and redstone, but maybe specialize in diamond mining? I'm not sure. But I actually went out and mined up. I have, I think it's 75 diamond ore using our Silk Touch pick. I got about 75 diamond ore, which took about an hour of just straight mining. Maybe an hour and a half, I'm not sure. But it didn't really take all that long because our tools are pretty fast now. So we can kind of rip through the ground pretty fast. So, but yeah, so that's the forge thus far, and then next episode hopefully we'll finish it out, and then I think the episode after that. Originally there was supposed to be a base tour this episode, but I kind of started building this, and then I was like, I haven't recorded the base tour, and then I was like, well, I can't do the base tour now first, because then this random building would be here that you guys hadn't seen. So, and I kind of it actually came together pretty quick. But, of course, it's still got a lot of work. So I hope you guys like it. It's different, but I actually quite love it. And it kind of reminds me of like a big dollhouse with the colors. And it just we're just really going to quickly go through here. But this is going to be, if you recall, I showed you the very, very small idea, which was actually smaller than just this tavern part. The frame of something that we were going to be building in stream, which was going to be the Tavern and Inn. The Tavern and Inn has grown because it only made sense for it to grow. So what we've got here, this is actually going to be a detached stables area for the tavern. So if people are riding up this road, they can stow their horses here, and then they can go into the tavern. Even though I've got to figure out where a door be. I actually might put the door over here. I'm not sure. But anyways, this is going to be kind of an outdoor area that's actually going to be set down. So you'll be sitting here, and you can see people going by. And, the floor will be on this layer, I think. And then in here will be the tavern proper, which is very, very unfinished. This is just what we got done during the stream the other night. And then out here is going to be a kitchen, and then an outdoor seating area. And then this here is going to be a big fireplace, just to make it feel nice and cozy in here. And there will be a cellar entrance down into the, down to the cellar that's underneath the kitchen as well. Outside, so deliveries coming in can go through there. And then up here, this is another section of the tavern, kind of an open feel, so that we can look down and it's all kind of part of the celebration and hubbub that's going on in the tavern. That guy has been standing in that exact spot for like 3 real life days. He has not moved. He has not tried to move. He just stands there. He's like a sentry. And then up here will be kind of an upstairs section. Maybe more seating areas, or maybe something a little bit different. I'm not sure yet. And then that, I don't know. I actually talked about in the stream, I could make this like a secret entrance so you could access the inn. There's some more. There's pillagers all over the place. I think they like these buildings. But I don't know if that's going to be open or what we're going to do with it. And these can go. There we go. And then this area here is just so that it can connect over to the inn, and kind of this walkway through the second floor section. and then the inn will be over here. So there'll be lots of rooms and stuff up through here, and yeah, that's the roof style. Of course, it's not done, but that's just the general shape. And then down here is just kind of an under walkway, because the idea is this is a road, by the way. this is the way the road's going to kind of curve over, and so the inn will be up there. There'll also be a road that runs up along the side here. And with the night market being right there, this will be one of the primary roads that come through, because all the traders and stuff will need a place to kind of unwind and a place to sleep and all that stuff. So that's going to be the purpose of the giant inn and tavern. And that's why it needed to be so big too, because we're going to have a lot of people coming through and they all need places to sleep. And so a very, very small inn and tavern just would not do the trick. It wouldn't really give us that feel of, this is a big tavern that's for all the traders and stuff like that. So we're going with this rather large design. It's like a castle by a lot of standards, I think. And then right here is another stable. This is for people spending the night at the tavern, or at the inn, is what that's going to be. And then there's going to be a house sitting here. And then we're actually going to, of course, we're doing a little bit more landscaping in this area. We're actually going to open this up and have, because this was here and then this was here, and we're actually going to connect these two, and then kind of make this a little bit more interesting through here. So like there's like this little inset, lower pond type area, and then a little bridge coming across that leads over to the house. And then probably up here on this hilltop we're going to do a shrine, a little small shrine up here that's kind of used for the people in the area to kind of go and worship. And then we're going to have, of course, stairs that lead then up into the Lunar Citadel from that area of the place. And this is going to kind of feel like somewhat of a little complex, not this building, this is going to be separate, but somewhat of a little complex area that runs through here. We'll put a little wall, nothing big, but just a small wall around it in places. Of course, some of these roads will be more public use, and then we'll have a creeper down there. That's what we're going to have. We're just going to have creepers. Alright. Bada boom. But, yeah. And that's kind of the plan for this area. And we'll get into talking about the Lunar Citadel during the base tour, because I have some questions to bring up as to what you guys want to do next as the focus of the episodes. Of course, we're going to be working on this on stream, this little complex area, for probably a little while now. And but as far as the videos go, what direction we want to take, because there's a few different mega builds in a few different directions, so we got to figure out which direction we want to take for the upcoming mega builds. So that's the work thus far, and I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like it so far. My my bright, welcoming blacksmith design. I'm a big fan of it, but maybe I'm crazy. But yeah, and we still have a bit of work to do to it. So, but like I said, this building won't be so dark and evil looking once we get the white walls on, because I want those kind of those white tavern walls that you usually think of on a tavern. I want those on here. So we will do some stuff with that, and I think it's going to balance this scene right here out a bit. But I think it's going to look cool because up until now our buildings have been kind of spaced out. Now we're moving into kind of more of a, kind of a shopping, well, not really shopping hub, but kind of a really lively part of the town. So the buildings are a little bit closer. There's a lot more going on, and yeah, and then you can actually stand in one place and see, once this is all done, you'll be able to stand in this one spot and see 6 different buildings at least. Actually, probably 7 once we get the Lunar Citadel stuff up, because you'll be able to see the stable, you'll be able to see the blacksmith, you'll be able to see the tavern, the inn, the stable back there, the innkeeper's house, and the Lunar Citadel, part of that up there. So just in this one scene, you'll be able to see 7 different buildings. So I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be very, very cool. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.